There we go. Okay. Well, good. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give an overview about what Reiki is, and then what to expect in this session. We'll go over the chakra system. I'll kind of tell you the difference between Western Reiki and Japanese Reiki. And I'll kind of put some meditations. We'll weave some meditations in just to kind of break things up. And because a lot of Reiki relies on meditation and breathing. So we'll just kind of do those today and get a little taste of getting your energy going and activating your Reiki. So as you can see on this first slide here, so Reiki involves laying on a table. Usually you can be seated if you'd like, but fully clothed. It's a lot like going to a chiropractic appointment or acupuncture appointment. And then hands are over the body. They're laying on the body or hovering over the body. So you're dealing with the energy that's in the different energy systems or chakras. So, and then the other graphic there that says just for today, and the inside of it is the 5 Reiki principles. And we'll go over that towards the end. But that is put together by the founder of Reiki. All right, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Amy Crull. I am a Reiki practitioner. So that means I work with people one-on-one and do sessions. I'm also a Reiki teacher, so I teach people how to do Reiki. And I teach people how to attune themselves to the energy. I'm also a yoga teacher and a health coach. So what's so great about those is they're so intertwined. So there's so much overlap between yoga and Reiki. And then as a health coach, it's helping people with the whole package, you know, helping people holistically look at how they're eating and how they're moving their body and how they're taking care of themselves. So they're very intertwined, these 3 things. So yeah, I love it. I love working with people one-on-one, and I love teaching about it. So here's the benefits of Reiki, and I'll go through these. Reiki is kind of hard to explain to people in like 1 to 2 sentences because there's so much. It's so meaty. There's so much there. It's very simple, but it's also very complex. So we'll just kind of start at the top here. It does help with increasing energy levels, especially with people who are depressed. It's really good at getting their energy going inside their body. Personal growth and development. It increases mental clarity. So it kind of helps with people who are kind of feeling foggy or disheveled, can't really focus. It really helps with that. Helps with emotional healing and stability. So I help a lot of people work through past traumas, and it's really good at healing, healing the different chakras where a lot of baggage gets kind of stuck. It helps with increased self-awareness. I always tell people it helps to get you out of your ego. You know, we're always going to have an ego, but it helps you just be a little bit more aware of your ego. Reduction of stress. That's really probably the main reason people come to see me, is they're really stressed out and they're overwhelmed at capacity. And it really helps to reduce stress. Spiritual growth and development. Spirituality is a huge part of Reiki. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. It improves circulation. It basically helps every physical system in the body. It's going to help with digestion. It's going to help with circulation. It's going to help with every system within the body. It reduces tension and anxiety. Really good for people going through anxiety. And I love to do like a consistent appointment with people when they are an anxious person, because it really has a snowball effect the more treatments you get. And then again, I'm always going to offer like things they can do on their own that would help with their anxiety. It really strengthens your immune system. It provides peace of mind and body. and relief from chronic pain. That's one of the big things that people come to me for too, is they have this chronic pain and nothing is touching it, nothing is helping it. And so Reiki is really something people can turn to for that. You know, for back pain that won't go away, or, you know, any kind of pain issue, it's wonderful. It's also great for headaches and migraines. Clearing and balancing of chakras. So we'll go through that in a little bit. All right. I'm not sure if when I'm sharing my screen, how I'm going to see if somebody has raised their hand, but maybe it'll pop up if that does happen. Okay, so what is Reiki? This is a wonderful, wonderful description of it by a person named Penelope Quest. And so she is a big name in Reiki. There's a lot of books at the library that you can get that she's written. And at the end, I give my resources for her. She is just a wonderful, she explains it in a way that people can kind of wrap their head around it. So I highly suggest her work. And in it, she says, Reiki is a safe, gentle, non-intrusive, hands-on healing technique for use on yourself or with others, which uses spiritual energy to treat physical ailments. However, it's much more than a physical therapy. It is a holistic system for balancing, healing, and harmonizing all aspects of the person. So body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Can also be used to encourage personal and spiritual awareness and growth. So that's a big, this is all encompassing of what Reiki is. And we'll kind of break this down little by little tonight, just because there's a lot of information here. But something to take away from this definition, I think, is that it is a holistic system. And it is going to help balance you, heal you, and harmonize you all in one. So it's a lot, I equate it a lot to, like, for people who do yoga, that feeling you get when you're lying in Shavasana at the end of the class, and just how more balanced you feel that harmony. That is a lot of what happens with Reiki. All right. So the first part we'll talk about when we come to Reiki is that it is dealing with your energy, the energy within yourself. So sorry for these long definitions on these first couple slides, but so our entire universe is composed of this pulsating energy. So that's really what we're getting at when we talk about Reiki. It's that pulsating energy that's in everything. So, you know, obviously it's in electricity, but it's in inanimate objects, just like a chair or a desk, our bodies, a tree, anything in nature, water, and the air we breathe. So while we may look solid, when we zoom in closer and closer, we see that we are made of these tiny little atoms and predominantly empty space. And if we hone in even further, we see that atoms are made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. And then Penelope Quest takes this further here. She says, Einstein and later quantum physicists have explained that the quantum level, which is incredibly tiny, between 10,000 and 100,000 times smaller than an atom, everything that exists in the universe is energy, which is vibrating and oscillating at different rates. So that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Reiki. So it's that vibrating, oscillating energy. So healing on different levels. Number one, physical. So anything to do with the body, our own and those of others. So as a Reiki person, you can do self-healing or you can heal others. And so the physical is something that we can kind of see better, right? If someone comes in and they have a shoulder issue, you know, that's something that you can heal physically. Emotionally, how we react to and deal with our experiences. So both consciously and subconsciously. So it's very interesting that most of my clients are seeing a therapist. So I'm not in that role of a therapist as a Reiki practitioner. I'm dealing with their energy. I'm dealing with how they, you know, move through the world and what their energy is doing in their particular body. And that's really comes down to the subconscious, I think, is where you get a lot of healing with Reiki. Mental, our attitudes and thought patterns. So decisions, directions, and lifestyle choices. A lot of times after a Reiki session, people will have an epiphany, or they'll have a new idea. One of my clients says that, oh, I'm not going to settle anymore in this relationship. That just became very clear to her. So you never know what will come out of a session. You might come in with back pain, and then you leave with all of these ideas. And kind of a side result is that your back feels better. So it's going to do the whole package. Spiritual, the bigger picture, finding meaning, acceptance, and possibly the most difficult thing of all, forgiveness. So a lot of things become clear in a Reiki session. And so with spirituality, it tends to open up that crown chakra and make you more receptive to whatever you believe in. So Reiki isn't a religion. It's only going to accentuate whatever you believe in. It's only going to make you feel more connected to whatever it is that you feel spiritually, or whatever religion you are. Okay, so let's kind of break down the word Reiki. So if we look at the Japanese kanji, like the Japanese character, this is that for the first part of the word Rei. So translated, it means it could be God, universe, divine, essence, spirit, higher power. That's really what that first chunk of the word means. And if you look at this, if you look at the character here, you see these two dots on either side of that T or cross, and that represents rain coming down. And so it's like nourishment from the heavens or from the higher, and that is our connection with spirit. And then if you take a look at the key part of the word, that is translated as universal life force energy. So it's that vibrating, oscillating energy that we were talking about earlier. So every Eastern spiritual system has a word for this energy. It's qi or qi in Chinese. So like Tai Chi, Qigong in Chinese. You see it called prana in Sanskrit, and that would be the word for energy in yoga. And there's a ton of others that I didn't list there. I always kind of say tongue in cheek that it's like the Force from Star Wars. And that's something that people can kind of relate to a little bit. And then if you see that character there that looks like an asterisk, that represents rice. So rice is a key ingredient obviously in a lot of the Eastern diets. And that represents sustaining life. So without ki, there is death, there's no life. And so you see it a lot of times as that life force energy. So when you put these two together, then you have Reiki. So it's then some ways you can describe it is as universal life force energy. Okay, another way you can say it is spiritually guided energy. And when you look at, there's kind of two different tracks of Reiki, and Western Reiki really just focuses on the energy part. They focus on that vibrating energy, whereas the Japanese Reiki is going to also focus on that energy, but they're going to bring in the spirituality aspect. So when you go to study Reiki and you're looking at different teachers, I always suggest people see, are they a Western Reiki teacher or are they a Japanese Reiki teacher? So I originally was, my classes were all in Western Reiki. And then my last teacher was Japanese Reiki. So whenever I teach people, I'm always kind of telling them the differences, and I'm they're very interwoven, but I think it's always good for people to see the difference between the two. There's a really long story about how these two came about, and I won't go into it too much. But what's really interesting, because Reiki is an oral, passed down from teacher to student, a lot wasn't written down. And so people in the West that did Reiki thought it was a certain way. And then in the 1990s, a lot of information came out of Japan that it had been going all these years. And what they accented was more of the spiritual part. So there's a lot more to it. And if you're interested, Penelope Quest does a really good job of explaining it in her books. So let's go ahead and take a little break here and do, we'll just do a nice short guided meditation here. And it involves this word called Gassho. So a lot of Reiki comes from martial arts. And this is one particular aspect of that. So Gassho is just merely putting the hands together in front of the chest. So this represents bringing together the whole person into the center. You know, the left side of the body tends to be more lunar, feminine, you know, your instincts, your intuition, your senses, your emotions. And then your right side tends to be more masculine, solar, black and white, logical. And so when you put the hands together, that really represents putting those two together. And it's usually done in front of the heart chakra, which then means connection. So if you would like to, let's go ahead and put those hands together in Gassho. And then you can just have both feet on the floor and just kind of have a nice posture as you're sitting here in Gassho. And then what I want you to do is kind of pull your hands away from you a little bit, and we'll just focus on the tips of your tallest finger. So just kind of gaze there and then take it out of focus. So as you're doing that and just kind of gazing at the top of your finger, you can start to make your inhales deeper and your exhales a little longer. So keep going with that, and I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about this. So this is just a really nice way of calming the mind, focusing on one particular thing so that it brings you into the present moment. Helps to center you, helps to ground you. Good. So that's just an easy thing you can do. Maybe right away in the morning or maybe after a long day. It's just a nice way of kind of clearing thoughts, bringing the whole person together like we talked about, and then just getting some deep inhales and exhales. So that's just a nice short little thing to do. But the more if you're attuned to the Reiki energy, a lot of times your hands will start kind of tingling or buzzing while you're doing that. And it's just kind of activating that Reiki energy within you. Okay. So to kind of begin in talking about this energy within your body, we have to talk about our aura. So this aura it comes out from your body, and it starts very close to your body and then comes out. There's 7 different layers of it. And it can extend up to 6 feet away from your body, and some people say even more. And it changes. So as you're developing your relationship to Reiki or your personal development, a lot of times it even gets bigger. So they say a smaller ego means a bigger aura. So, and some people can see auras. Some people have that gift. They just kind of see a little white outline around people. It's not a prerequisite for learning Reiki though, but I just wanted you to be aware of the aura around your body. I always jokingly say, imagine like a really compact subway, where sometimes in those countries they just pack people in those subways. I imagine all those auras just all intermixing between them. All right, so then we have chakras. So you can pronounce them chakras, you can pronounce them chakras. Technically it is chakra, but it's okay, however you want to pronounce it. It is the Sanskrit word, and it means wheel or vortex or a disc. And so a lot of times they're viewed as a spinning disc. And you want that disc here, you want that disc to be spinning nice. You don't want it to be wobbly, So think of it as spinning energy within your body. So they are chakras and are an essential part of our body's energy system. So they are intimately connected to our physical health, and they're each linked with specific parts of the body and systems within the body. So when I give someone a Reiki treatment, my hands are going to be placed at different chakras over the body. So I'll kind of take you to a different slide. Okay. Yeah. So when a chakra is healthy, balanced, and fully opened, so are those corresponding body parts. When a chakra is blocked, damaged, or partially closed, then the health of the connected body parts and systems will begin to reflect this. So then that's when you're going to start to see physical ailments or anxiety, things like that. Our chakras are affected by everything that happens to us, good or bad. And I like to tell people it's kind of like you accumulate baggage, you know, going through maybe a big trauma, but then maybe going through different problems. It's almost like you're accumulating baggage. And when you get a Reiki treatment, a lot of that is released and let go. It's also can be equated to like clearing of a drain. So you can think of these different issues that we go through start to clog up a drain, and the Reiki almost helps to push things through. So you have a nice, clean drain. Let me show you something quickly. I'm gonna grab a pendulum. So something that you might want to play around with is, you know, you don't even have to go out and buy a pendulum, but just something that has like a necklace and has something at the end of it. Here's an example of another one. Okay. You can even, I've heard of people just putting a paper clip at the end of a string and it will do the same thing. But what I like to have people play around with is I'm going to hold this in front of my heart. Let me see it. I want to make sure you can see this. Actually, I'll hold it in front of my throat because then you can see it better. Okay. And then I like to kind of look away and not really kind of focus on what it's doing, because then I don't want to like, I don't want to influence it in any way. And another part of energy though, is that when it is observed, it does change. So, all right. So not a lot of movement here. All right, but I'm going to show you the difference between that and my third eye. So third eye would be between my eyebrows, and I'm not holding it any different. I'm not moving my hand. But look how the movement changed. Okay, I don't really get too concerned with what it's doing. If it's in a circle, if it's straight back and forth. A lot of people, you know, there's a lot of people that really focus more on the pendulum. I just like to use this to show people that your energy is different in each chakra. So, and then lastly, I'll just show you my heart. I'm going to stand up a little closer here, and just to see the difference. So it hardly moved in front of my throat, and then there was more movement with my third eye. And then now in front of my heart, it's going front to back. So feel free to play around with that. I think that's a nice introduction into Reiki, is just to see the differences that each chakra or energy system is putting out. And that will change. That will change on a daily basis. It might change from the morning to the night. And like I said, I don't get too concerned about the direction and all that, because like I said, it's so fluid. Things are changing all the time. Ideally, after you get a Reiki treatment though, those would all be more open and more flowing. Okay, so let's see what time we have and how much I should spend on each chakra. Okay, so there's so much information with the different chakras, and I'm just going to kind of give you an overview here. There's 7 different ones, and people would argue there's more. But the kind of the general idea is that there's 7. We always start at the root, so the red area here. Each chakra is associated with a particular color and a particular body part. So what's interesting is they develop within the body at different ages. So like your root chakra actually is developed in utero, and that goes up to 12 months. So that is going to be, are my basic needs being met? survival, family, social belonging, safety, and security. So root chakra is where I find a lot of anxiety. So if someone comes to me with anxiety, I'm just going to start on their feet. It's going to be a nice way for them to feel more comfortable. And it is a really good way of just relieving that anxiety from the get-go. Second chakra is the sacral chakra, and that is orange. And so that is below the belly button, above the pubic bone. So this is where we create life, is creativity. It is your sexuality. It's power, control, money, relationships, emotions, and senses I would put in there as well. So this is that when you are learning to crawl and you're putting things in your mouth, right? A baby crawls, picks it up, puts it in their mouth. They're getting acclimated to their surroundings, right? They're figuring out where they belong and their senses. Sacral chakra, really good for helping people move through trauma. It's really good with anybody with a job issue or they're wanting to bring more creativity into their life. Okay, so solar plexus would be your third chakra associated with the color yellow. This is our ego. So it's your personality, it's your self-esteem, then it's your gut instinct as well. So we have intuition in this area. We also have it in our third eye. So, but this is the gut reaction. This is the gut instinct. So if you're a person who's very doubtful, Reiki sessions are really good to kind of bring some self-confidence in. It's associated with fire, so like that inner fire. All right, heart is the green chakra. It is the only one that also has a horizontal aspect to it with the arms. So anything I do on the hands and arms, all the way up to the shoulders, upper chest, lower or mid chest here is the heart chakra. So love, forgiveness, compassion, connection, and yeah, it just is so, it's just very soothing and very comforting in a Reiki session over people's hearts. You know, sometimes I will see that there's emotion right underneath the surface, and a lot of times on the heart chakra that will come out. So that's emotion that needs to come out. Throat is associated with a blue color. That's self-expression, choice, will, follow your dreams, faith, trusting life. I would add speaking your truth. It's also interesting about the throat chakra is that it is your perception of what are you hearing? What you're hearing, is it accurate? So it's not only speaking, it's hearing. The hardest one to get through for people, because I'm not comfortable putting my hands on people's necks. I just don't know how people are. So that's where you hover the most, is over the throat. A lot of times there will be an imbalance. Like if I do my hands over someone's throat, a lot of times this one just wants to pop out. So then that's something that I know, oh, they're using the right side of their body all the time. Let's bring some more, less logical thinking, more emotion, more senses. And then that really helps to balance your throat. All right, third eye is also a blue color. It is intellect, your brain, open-mindedness, divine reason, bigger picture, trust. It's also that intuition that comes though from the mind. And this is great to clear people who are overthinking. And spoiler alert, everyone's overthinking. So third eye is really good to help people relieve tension and stress. The crown is your spirituality. It's knowing who you are, letting go, enlightenment, and awareness. And you know, what I find with people is there is just this desire for spirituality. And I'm so happy at the end of Reiki sessions that can be opened up for people. And that means different things for people. You know, maybe that's, they want to connect more with nature, or they want to connect more with a family, or they want to connect more with their religion or their spirituality. It means totally different things in different people. So that's an overview of the chakras. I always tell people, you know what, just do it in small doses, in small nuggets. Don't need to memorize all this stuff about the chakras. What's interesting about Reiki is it helps you, it supports you in learning all of these things. It's not a prerequisite to do Reiki with people that you know everything about the chakras. Absolutely not a prerequisite. And this is just another beautiful graphic that will show you the colors. And then on the left, the yoga is very tied into the chakra system as well. And there's a symbol for each one. So it's really interesting when you look at the different chakras and how it corresponds in the body. You know, just to give you a quick example, I see a lot of clients for plantar fasciitis because it is so painful in their feet. And what's very interesting about that is you would think I should just have my hands on their feet. But plantar fasciitis is really associated with you are doing everything, whether it's between you and your partner or in your family. You are the person that is taking care of everything. And so it's actually a shoulder issue, and it's relieving the burdens that you are carrying. So when someone comes to see me for that, I have kind of in the back of my mind, okay, I am going to really work on their shoulders, but of course I will put my hands on their feet. But it really is a release around the shoulder issue. So there's a really good book I want to point out to people. I'll just grab it really quickly. It is called, so it's put out by Louise Hay. She is the woman who started Hay House Publishing Company. And I always like to tell people she started it at the age of 60. So it is a huge publishing company now. And it's from her book, Heal Your Body. And then what she does is she takes a condition and she tells you the emotional reason behind it. So a lot of times this will guide me when people come in with a particular issue, and it just kind of tips me off to maybe really what's the emotional reason behind it. Again, I'm not a therapist. Again, that doesn't mean that's always the case. I trust that the Reiki will know what to do, and the energy will go where it needs to go. But a lot of times it helps to have a little bit of that knowledge. Okay, so Western Reiki relies a little bit more on the chakra system than the Japanese Reiki. Japanese Reiki kind of groups the chakras together. And so you have your lower Tanden, they're called, and that would include the bottom 3 chakras. So you're going to have your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus, because those are more of an earth energy, and they are more tied into you as a human being, you as a person with an ego. So it is, your lower chakras are definitely more human issues, being in a human body issues. Then you go to that upper tangent at the top of the head there, and that is your heaven energy or your spirit energy. So that's going to be the top 3. So your crown, your third eye, and your throat. Because that's dealing with your truth, dealing with your spirituality. So more of that heaven energy. And then that middle tandem is your heart. It's your heart chakra. And that is the interconnectedness, the oneness, considered to be the bridge between the lower and the upper. So for someone who's just not getting the chakras, it's nice to kind of maybe just group them like this and think, oh, those bottom 3 are more of an earth energy. The top is more of a heaven energy. And then we have that one in the middle that's connecting it all. So let's go ahead and do another guided meditation that will help kind of reiterate this. It's called the 3 diamonds. And so you can imagine that each tandem is a diamond. And it's a way of connecting all these tandens and then feeling more balanced and cleared at the same time. So if you want to come with me, we will do that Gassho again. And go ahead and just close your eyes and tap into that breath. Good. From here, I'm going to have you put your hands on your abdomen. So both hands on each side of your abdomen. You can stay seated for this, but so I just want you to close your eyes and have your breath focusing on this lower tandon area. So if you can imagine like a red, orange, and yellow all together in this area, and just taking some deep breaths here. Maybe those colors are swirling around, or maybe it's more of a glow. Good. From there, you can take your hands and place them on your heart. And it's almost like there is a link coming from the lower tandon to the heart. And those colors now mold into the green color. And then from the green, we'll take that and link it up to the upper tandon. So into the blues and purples. Sometimes people see the crown as a white light as well. It's just feeling that connection from the heart up into this spirit energy. And then from there, we'll take the hands back to the heart. So it's like another link back into the green. Maybe it's a big green pasture for you. Rolling hills of green. And then from there, you can take your hands back to your abdomen, back into the reds and yellows and oranges. On your next exhale, go ahead and open your eyes, and you can bring yourself back into the room. So that is called the 3 diamonds technique. And I won't read to you everything that's on this slide, but what you can take away from that is that when these 3 centers are joined, like we just did, energy is flowing well between them. And so not only physically, you're going to feel more balanced, but mind, body, and spirit as well. And that is really a short little thing you can do to start your day or end your day. And it brings in that awareness of energy, and it brings in that flow and that balancing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit how Reiki came about. It is a man called Mikao Usui. He's from Japan, and he was born in 1865. So pretty recent, actually. You know, I think a lot of people think this is a more ancient healing technique than it is. So when he was born, it was a great time of change in Japan. You know, if you think of Japan as an island, it had been very isolated. You know, importing was becoming more alive there. Missionaries are coming into the country, export, import, all of that. He was born into a samurai family. So that's why you see a lot of martial arts kind of incorporated into Reiki. And with that, samurai family was status, and also they were able to keep their last name. So his family name is well known in Japan. His family had a business. They had a family sake business, and they lost that. So as the oldest son, he was expected to take that business over, but then that is no longer the case when that business becomes lost. And the reason I bring that up is that a lot of times people come to Reiki when they are down and out, and when they have tried everything else. And so there's a lot of like correlation between his story and a lot of people who come to Reiki. As a child, he studied 2 different kinds of Buddhism. So you see Zen Buddhism, and then I think it is called Pure Land Buddhism, but that's where the meditations come in. That's where this idea of helping people come in. You see a lot of overlap there. Another thing to mention about him is he did have a job as a personal assistant to the mayor of Tokyo. And why this is important is because he traveled the world with this person. And he came to the United States, he went to China, he went to India, he went all over. And that's why you see a lot of different things incorporated into Reiki. A lot of the symbols used in Reiki are Sanskrit. So it isn't just coming from Buddhism or coming from Japan. So he does eventually quit that job and then become an entrepreneur, and he fails at that. So again, his life is kind of imploding. He joins a monastery and decides that he is trying to find the meaning of life. The Western Reiki lineage will say that he had some students ask him, well, how was Jesus able to heal? And he then decided that was his life's mission, to figure out how he was able to physically heal people. That has been questioned lately, if that was really something that he was seeking to do. A lot of times, the Western lineage was trying to make Reiki more palatable for the Western world, so they brought in a lot of Christian aspects that maybe were there, maybe not there. That's a whole other story. So back to Usui. So he climbs up this mountain and he decides to fast and hopefully receive some answers, hopefully receive what is the meaning of life. After 3 weeks, he has this moment of enlightenment, this moment of Satori or Nirvana, where everything becomes very clear. He feels like he's one with God. He feels like he's one with the earth and with everything. So he's so excited about this. He actually feels like a physical white light that just kind of encapsulates him. So he's so excited. He runs down the mountain. On his way down, he trips and really hurts himself. So he instinctively puts his hands on his feet, and they're healed, and even the bleeding stops. So he's thinking, oh my goodness, I have healing hands. And then he proceeds down the mountain and heals an innkeeper's daughter. Then he goes home, he heals a family member. So he's realizing now something happened after that moment of enlightenment, and now I'm able to heal people. What's interesting about this is in Japan at that time, people did not do this outside of their family. So usually someone within the family would heal people. It was called a palm healing at that time. But for him to then want to share this with people and also to teach people how they also can do it is a really big deal, because that was not the case up to that point. And he opens up a practice and he starts treating people. And so he's starting to become a little bit more well known. Then what happens in 1923 is there's a massive earthquake. I believe they said 140,000 people died in this earthquake alone. It's the biggest natural disaster up until that point. And so he goes out and he just heals people every single day. So he starts to really get a name for himself as a healer. Okay, so, but shortly after, so that's like in the early 1920s when this happened. Shortly after, he does die of a stroke. And so then it becomes really important, who are the people he taught? So that is a number. The number is anywhere from 20 to thousands. So it's kind of unclear how many people he actually taught. But those people were able to then teach other people, and that is how Reiki has stayed alive all these years. So, so like I talked about before, on the left, we have our Western lineage, and we have our Eastern lineage, or our Japanese lineage, it's also called. But at the top of both is Mikao Usui. So of course it started with this person, he's at the very top. And then on the left there, the third person down, Takata, is the woman, she was from Hawaii, of Japanese descent. She's the one who brings Western Reiki, that version of Reiki, to the United States and Canada. So as you can see down the line, there is Penelope Quest, the author of the book. And then on the other side is more of the Japanese lineage. And so if you see there, Franz Stein, oh, sorry, I'll go back here. Forget my screen is a touch screen. There we go. From current slide, okay. Franz Stein is also a big name in Reiki, and that is my teacher's teacher. So my lineage is very close to this one. All right. And so when you go through a Reiki class and you get certified, then you become part of this lineage. So what did this Reiki healing system look like? So there's kind of 5 different parts to it. The first is that Usui developed attunements. So that is his way of kind of reenacting this moment he had on the mountain, this moment of enlightenment, this great white light, that he then transfers to the student, okay? So after you receive an attunement from a teacher, your vibration is raised. It is, it is a higher frequency. And then that allows you to feel the energy in your hands. So I know it sounds kind of strange, but it truly works. People feel different things during attunement, and it's not expected that you just see, you feel it certain ways. I'm kind of a slow learner when it comes to this. I didn't necessarily have all the feelings in my hands right away, but over time that developed. Some people it's right away, everybody's different. Also a part of this system of healing is meditation and breathing techniques like we did with the Gassho and the 3 diamonds. And those are important to do on a daily basis because it activates that energy within you. It just kind of keeps it going. So different hand positions. How do you put the hands on the body to deal with each energy system or tanden or chakra? Symbols. So symbols are introduced that when you take a Reiki class, you will learn. And what those symbols basically do is it focuses your energy. So there's a symbol for compassion. There's a symbol for letting go. There's a symbol for power and focus, a symbol for a distant healing symbol that then you can send Reiki distantly. And what those symbols really do is it comes down to intention. It's just a way of focusing your thoughts and your energy of while you're doing a session with someone, then you are infusing those symbols into their aura and their energy. Those symbols can only be for your highest good. I should really say that. You can never do ill will with Reiki. It is always for the person's highest good. And then lastly, Usui came up with the 5 principles of Reiki, which we'll cover in a little bit here. So what does a Reiki session look like? Okay. When someone makes an appointment with me, I send them an electronic intake form. And on that intake form is like, what are any physical ailments you have? Have you had Reiki before? Do you prefer to talk during a Reiki session or not talk during a Reiki session? Any emotional issues you might be having. And then so people can kind of prepare what they want to share before they get into the room. So then I look that over before they come. And then when we sit down in the chair and we discuss the intake form and they tell me anything they want to tell me. It's very interesting is that, let's say they forget to tell me that their knee really hurts. The Reiki will take care of that. So because it is dealing with your energy, your healing system is activated. You are actually doing the healing. I'm not actually doing the healing. So it's activating the healing system within you. So it is going to heal what needs to be healed. All right, so you lay on the massage table fully clothed, and you can go under the blanket or on top of the blanket. I usually offer like bolsters just to make them feel very comfortable, like under their head and under their legs. And then I am going to rest my hands, either hovering over their body or on their body. People are able to lay on their back or lay on their stomach, whatever they prefer. So during the stillness, this Reiki energy flows. So it's flowing from my hands, but again, it's really activating the client's healing system. And then that is, you can say their body's wisdom to work out blockages, soothe and comfort, enhance one's well-being. And it's something that stays with you. It's not just like for that 1 hour. It is something that continues with you. So a lot of times people will say, oh, it wasn't until a week later that I realized such and such. All right, so each chakra or tandem is balanced during a session. So I will touch on every chakra. I don't necessarily go just down the line. I go intuitively what's guiding me to go to it. And you're encouraged to talk during it, or you're encouraged to just completely relax. I do have clients that fall asleep, and then I know that they just really need a good sleep, that they're not resting, they're not getting good, powerful sleep. So that's something that they need. All right. And I should mention at the end of the session, then we can discuss anything that came up for them. So some people, really want to talk about things that came up for them. Other people are so relaxed, it's almost even hard to explain what they experienced. But, whatever works for people. I usually do a 60-minute session, I should say. So really briefly, these are just kind of some hand positions. And, it's going to vary person to person. No Reiki session looks exactly the same. And I'm always aware of people's comfort level too. So I tend to hover a lot more. Hovering is the exact same way as if you're touching the body. There's actually kind of a ridge where you can feel how the energy comes off the body. And it's like your hand naturally wants to go there. All right. So if you are interested in learning Reiki, there are different steps to it. Everybody starts off with Reiki 1. That's where you learn how to heal yourself and family and friends. I usually teach people the first symbol during Reiki 1. It's just a really nice way of activating that energy within you. I see my students tend to feel the Reiki more by using a symbol. Reiki 2 is then you are starting to give Reiki treatments to other people that aren't just family and friends. You learn more symbols and particularly the distance symbol so that you can send Reiki to people that are not in the room. It is energy, so it's not limited to time or space. And sometimes that's hard for people to wrap their head around, but it truly works. Reiki Master would be where you want to become a practitioner and that you want to kind of open your own office. And in that, you learn the Master symbol. It's a very powerful symbol. And it is the symbol that allows, is what's used when you do attunements with people. And then there is the level of Reiki teacher. So this is how you teach people how to do Reiki, and you teach people how to give attunements as well. So with each progression, you know, it becomes more of your own spiritual path, your own self-discovery, your own healing will take place. I usually tell people, you know, some people are on a fast track and they want to do all these classes. I usually tell people, just give yourself 21 days to clear between each class. You know, some teachers won't let you do a Reiki master until you've done Reiki on yourself for a year. It varies teacher by teacher. It does take some time for this to settle in. So I see most people take time in between these. And I should mention, with, you know, the abilities of Zoom these days, you can take these classes over Zoom. We don't have to be in person. And I actually find that I like teaching one-on-one, because then people's personal questions can come up. And it's really more personalized. Because not everybody wants to be a Reiki practitioner. A lot of people are doing it for their own self-healing. So I like the one-on-one teaching style. So just a few more slides here. The Reiki energy does the healing. So I'm not healing people. You really have to kind of get out of your own way to do Reiki with people. And the more that you're kind of really wanting someone to have an amazing session, the more it kind of blocks the energy. So you really just have to say, whatever's going to happen in this session is going to happen. And I always set the intention that the person will receive what they need in this now moment. Reiki is an intelligent, conscious energy. It knows where and how to flow to bring balance. So like, that's what I was saying before. If someone forgets, oh, I've been having migraines, the Reiki is going to take care of that. The energy will guide you, so learn how to sense energy. So that's kind of more of a Japanese Reiki idea, is that it's really guided and tapping into your intuition. So sometimes I'm over someone's, let's say, solar plexus and heart, and then I just think, I need to go to the shoulders. And that I don't question it. I just go to their shoulders, because that's really the Reiki guiding, and it knows what the person needs. The wonderful thing about Reiki is there is no washback. And what I mean by that is we do not need to take on our clients' issues. So I don't leave a session with people really, I've taken on all their stress. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling so bombarded. That's not the case at all. It's very protected. I always tell people, you're red, I'm blue, there's no purple. So just as much as I'm not taking on energy, they're not taking on mine, you know? So I think that's just a beautiful part of Reiki. Honestly, I wouldn't do it if I was going to be so depleted by the end of the day by taking on everybody's baggage. And last but not least, as you give Reiki, you receive it. So I actually feel good after doing Reiki appointments back to back, because you receive it as you give it. Okay, so these are the Reiki principles that Usui came up with. There's 5 of them. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And this was because he really wanted his students to incorporate this into their daily practice. And that is something that you strive for on a daily basis. Are we perfect? No, absolutely not. We're going to be in our ego. We're going to have bad days. But this is just a gentle reminder, just for today. You know, don't think, oh my gosh, for the rest of my life, I can never be angry. You know, we're human beings. We're going to be angry. But the goal is just for today. I will not be angry. I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will do my work honestly, and I will be kind to every living thing. So I always, tell my students, examine these and how they fit into your life. And the ones that you maybe don't like, or the ones that kind of don't, aren't sitting well with you, are maybe the ones that are the ones you need to work on. But what I always tell people about this doesn't mean that you become a zombie, or that you're really hard on yourself if you become angry. That's not the case at all. we're supposed to live life and we're supposed to experience life, but also be very forgiving of ourselves because we are human. And, we're living in a very human world. So these are beautiful goals for each day. All right. So these are the resources I used. Penelope Quest, I highlighted. My teacher is Sarah Barlow, one of my teachers. And then the Torsten Lang book, Reiki Made Easy by Hay House. That's the book I use when I teach Reiki 1 with people. So it's just a really easy read, and it kind of breaks down everything in a really, it's just really easy to take in. So with that, we are done and we hit our time. That was good. Let me know if you have any questions, able to email me, look at my website. I do offer distant Reiki as well. So whatever interests you, let me know. And thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to this program. I'll stop sharing here.